Hello, welcome to lesson 3. Today we are going to talk about assembling your flute and hand position. So the first thing we need to talk about today is the parts of the flute. So we will start at the top, or the part that goes on your mouth, and this part is called the head joint. Now my head joint has a special feature on it. The metal is a little bit differently shaped, so please don't worry that your mouthpiece does not look like that or head joint does not look like that. It's not supposed to. This is a very old-fashioned type of flute. It's about 34 years old actually, which also explains why you will see that some parts of my flute are a little bit more tarnished because it's several decades old. The second part of the flute is called the body. This is the longest part and it has the most keys. And this is where we do most of our finger work. So again, this is called the body. The third part, or the part that goes furthest from your head when you play, is called the foot joint. It only has a few keys on it. And this is operated only with your right hand pinky, which you will see later in the lesson. So let's talk about assembly. The very first thing to do is put the flute down somewhere safe. I would not recommend putting it on your lap. I would recommend putting the case on a table or perhaps the floor, but a table probably would be your best bet so that it doesn't roll onto the floor and break. First, grab your head joint, probably with your right hand. This is probably your best bet. Hold it like this in a way so that you are not grabbing this part, which is called the lip plate. Now with your left hand, grab the body, and then this may take some coordination, but you will get used to it. We're going to grab the body up here at the top so that you're not really touching the keys. When you grab the keys and bend them together, they can get bent, so we want to put the flute together very carefully in this way. Your next step is to put the two pieces together. So you're basically going to bring your hands together and with a twisting motion, twist, 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 push the pieces all the way together. We will talk about alignment in a minute. Let's go ahead and get the foot joint put on. With your left hand, hold the flute like this. With your right hand, grab the foot joint so you're touching as few keys as possible. So at the end, if you can. If you end up touching that last key, it's okay. And again, we're going to, with a twisting motion, twist, 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 twist. We are going to put the foot joint on. And notice what I said about my flute being old. You can see the tarnish here. That's just because it's quite an old instrument. So that is how we assemble the flute. Now step 2 is we have to line it up properly so we can play it. So we're going to turn our flute so that the head joint is farthest away from you. You are going to align the head joint hole with the first key in the long row of keys. So you will see I haven't done a good job. I am going to align it, actually you can flip it around and do it this way. I'm going to align my hole with the first key, this key, in the long row of keys. Notice there's a short row of keys on the back. You don't want to use that one. We want to align this hole with that key. And so you can do it a couple ways. You can look at your finger, trace it down. You can also kind of look at it like a telescope and say, did I really get it right? And when you feel like you've got it right, that means you're ready to move on to the foot joint. So with the foot joint, we are going to align the bar. This is called a bar or a rod. You're going to align the main bar, which is actually the longer bar. You may have a shorter row of bar on the back. You're going to align the long bar with the middle of the last key on the body. So again, the bar does not line up like this. You do not line the bars with each other. The foot joint bar should be lined up again with the middle key on the body, the middle of the last key on the body. And that is basic alignment on flute. So we're going to go through that again more quickly. Go ahead and pause the video, take your flute apart, and we're going to practice putting it together again. When you're ready, we're going to grab our head joint with the right hand. Grab the body with the left hand. So you've got these two pieces. And this time we're going to move a little bit more quickly and we're going to align it right away. With the twisting motion, twist, 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 twist. Push the head joint in until it stops. And then turn the head joint until the hole lines up with the last row of keys. And remember, you can do it this way. You can do it this way. You can trace your finger, but this part is very, very important. If your flute isn't really perfectly aligned, it's going to be a lot harder to make a good sound. So vertically, this is what it looks like. There's the hole, there's the first key in the long row of keys. So we've got the first part of the flute aligned. Grab your flute right here with your left hand. Grab your foot joint, touching as few keys as possible, and attach it to the other end. Twist, 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 twist. And our alignment this time is that the bar of the foot joint aligns with the middle of the last key on the body. Take a look. How did you do? Please go back and review that portion of the video as many times as you need to until you are comfortable putting your flute together. Now, one thing you might encounter when you're assembling your flute is you might find that two of the pieces don't go together well, or that you're having a really hard time getting them to put together. There are two things that you can do in that situation. The thing that I recommend is grabbing your silver polishing cloth, and you're going to look at this part. This is called the joint or the tenon. If that has a lot of kind of black oxidation on it, you want to try to get that off. So you grab your polishing cloth and you twist, 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 twist that part at the end to try to scrub off anything that's on there that might be making it hard for putting the flute together. After you've done that, you can grab the foot joint, and putting your finger inside the cloth, you can clean out the inside of that joint. Again, carefully, but you can use a lot of pressure to see if any oxidation, that's the black stuff on the middle, has built up. And twist, 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 twist. And that should help. That should help it go back together a little bit easier. Now, if that doesn't work, what you can do is you can take a very, very small amount of Vaseline or something similar and apply it to the end like this, very small amount. Put it around the end carefully. You can do that also on the inside of the foot joint, and try again. And that should go on much better. However, if your flute continues to be difficult to put together, please take it into the repair shop and they can adjust the metal in such a way so that it goes together much more easily. You can also do this with the head joint. You will notice with the head joint that you will get over time quite a bit of oxidation on this end point, which is the joint. Again, take your cleaning cloth and really try to scrub some of that off before trying to affix it to your flute again. And for me, that helped quite a bit. So now that you know how to put your flute together, it's time to talk about where to put your hands. We are getting very close to making our first sounds on the flute. The easiest place to start is with the right hand. So with the left hand, I want you to hold your flute in a way that you will not drop it. With your right hand, we are going to start with the right hand pinky. Now remember, if you look at me, my left looks like your right, so you might have to flip it around. Your pinky is going to go on the very first key of the foot joint, and there it will stay. Your next three fingers go on the next three keys on the body. Ring finger, middle finger, pointer finger. These keys are the ones you will use 99% of the time. Later, you will move your pinky onto these keys down here, but not for a while yet. So keep your pinky on the first key of the foot joint. Turning your flute, you might wonder where to put your thumb. Well, your thumb, your right hand thumb, is actually the main balance point of the instrument. So you want to make sure it's in a good position. You'll notice my thumb is between my pointer finger and my middle finger, probably more towards my pointer. And that is where it belongs. This is good right hand position. I'm going to show you a few examples of poor right hand position so you know what not to do. This is not good hand position. This pushes your knuckle way out of joint and makes the flute very unstable. This is also not good right hand position. This is also not good right hand position. We want to keep the thumb underneath this finger or this finger on the right hand. And the thumb, you'll notice I'm resting it on the mushy part of the thumb, not on the knuckle and not on the tip, but on that mushy part right in between. You will know if you have good right hand position if you are able to take your left hand away and not drop it, but please keep your left hand nearby. I'm going to take my left hand away with my keys closed. Boom, I've got a good right hand position. Please practice that part as many times as you need to. I'm now going to go over right hand position from the back angle, if that helps you. So I'm going to turn myself around. We're going to start with the pinky. The pinky goes on the first key of the foot joint. The next three fingers, keep in mind I have an open hole flute and you might not, but the next three fingers go on the next three keys right there. And your thumb goes underneath the pointer finger or middle finger or halfway in between. All right, now it's time to move to the left hand. This is a little bit more complicated, so I am going to show you this part from the back. I'm going to turn. If you've got your right hand in place, it's much easier, so please make sure your right hand is set before you try to do your left hand. You will notice that right here there's a cluster of three keys. What we're going to do is put your thumb on the key that's furthest to the right. This is called the normal thumb key. Eventually we may use this one, but not for a while. So again, looking at the cluster of three keys, you want to put your thumb on this one, which is the furthest to the right of those three keys. It's also the flattest key, so you can call it the flat key. It also sort of looks like a paddle, so you can also call it the paddle-shaped key. After that, looking at your flute, we are always going to skip the first and third keys. We will never touch the first and third keys. So with your thumb in place, we are going to put your pointer, index finger, on the second key. And then you're going to stretch your middle finger down to the fourth key. And then your ring finger goes on the next key. Your pinky can rest on this key. Again, we won't use that one for a while, but that's where it can rest. So I'll go through this again at this angle and then I'll do the other angle. Your thumb goes on the furthest right key or the paddle-shaped key. Your pointer goes on the second key. Middle finger goes on the fourth key. Ring finger goes on the fifth key. And your pinky goes on the key that sticks out. We will always skip the first and third keys. I will now go through the left hand position from the front so you can see what it looks like from this side. Placing my thumb on the paddle-shaped key. Pointer finger goes on the second key. Middle finger goes on the fourth key. Ring finger goes on the next key. And your pinky goes on the key that sticks out. If this seems crazy to you, like, oh my gosh, there's no way I can hold it, there is a secret. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see. I am balancing my flute on the side of my pointer finger right here. If you do not balance the flute right there, it is very easy to drop, and if you can figure out how to balance it, it is the key to holding your flute steadily. Here's a good side view. Get a good look. I have a special name for this part of your finger. If you look at your pointer finger, let's stick it out like this. You want to rest the flute between your big knuckle, which joins your finger to your hand, and your first knuckle. If you press on that area, you can kind of feel that it goes down in between the knuckles. So my special name for that part of your finger is the saddle, like a horse's saddle, except you're not going to sit in the saddle, your flute is. So again, you want to put the saddle on the flute, and that helps balance your left hand. So once again, we're going to go through the left hand. Thumb goes on the paddle-shaped key. You can also balance your flute on your shoulder if it helps position you at first. Your pointer finger goes on the second key, middle finger on the fourth key, next finger on the fifth key, and then the pinky goes on the key that sticks out. Now, when I said you can balance on your shoulder, that's just for putting your hands in position. Of course, we don't want to play that way. Again, I will turn to the side so you can see that I am resting in the saddle. If I try to take my hand away and play like this, oh gosh, that becomes very hard to hold. So I'm going to make sure that my hand turns sideways and that I'm resting in the saddle. Please be patient with this part. Left hand position is often very frustrating for beginners, but once you get it, you'll have it for life. Also, it makes more sense when you finally are able to put your flute up to your mouth, so let's go ahead and try that. And pause the video if you need to, but when you have your hands in place, we're going to bring the lip plate up to the space between your chin and your lip. I'm going to go very slowly. You might want to have an adult handy so you don't drop it. And I am resting the lip plate, with this part, between my chin and my lips. Your chin can act as a shelf. You want to kind of press it down so that it's really balanced and really feeling secure. And that is how we are going to start when it's time to make a sound. I'm going to turn sideways again. You can see I'm still in the saddle. I'm going to show you all the balance points of the flute. Your pinky will almost always be pressed down. Your thumb, remember this is the primary balance point for the flute, so your thumb will get very strong. Your back thumb, the saddle, and your chin. So you have about 5 different balance points to hold the flute up. We will begin making real sounds on the flute at the next lesson. Please review this video on assembly and hand position as many times as you need to, but again, we will go through it next time. Again, please be patient with yourself, especially for younger children. The left hand in particular can be frustrating to get the hang of, but with enough practice and guidance from adults, which is recommended, you will get it and you will succeed. So be patient, and I look forward to seeing you next lesson.